Good morning. I'm going to try this again. My name is Deborah Byrne from DBpsychology Services, known across social media as DBpsychology. We seem to have gremlins in the Facebook Live this morning. So what I was saying in the other video was that I'm talking about special needs. I'm talking about feeling guilty about, as a parent of a special needs child. I explained that special needs is a disability. For those people that don't understand what special needs is, it is a disability, whether hidden or otherwise, in a child or an adult. So I also explained that when we get a diagnosis, when our child gets a diagnosis, it can feel like we're thrown in the deep end of a swimming pool, and we we don't know how to swim, so therefore we feel like we're drowning. And a lot of times we can be handed a diagnosis and no further information as to where to go for help, who to ask, what to do next. We just get this, maybe assessment or something, and we just given it, and there you go ahead. But what do you do? And as I always say, information is power. So in saying that, you're in the right place if you want to talk about some, feeling guilty. This blog is a follow on from the one I did in the summer. So on top of the usual ways of feeling guilty we would normally have as a parent of a special needs child, you will probably have other ways in which you're going to be beating yourself up. A few of those, I talk about 9 of those, and I give some suggestions in the blog this week. And a few of those ways can be, you can feel guilty for doing too much, you can feel guilty for doing too little, you can feel guilty for ignoring your other children, for ignoring your partner, for ignoring friends, family members, for having, you can feel guilty about having to make decisions, or having made decisions in the best interest of your child. You can feel guilty about having no self-care. You can feel guilty about asking for help. There are multiple ways in which we can feel guilty as parents of special needs children. And as I said at the start, to feel empowered, we need information. So my first piece of advice to you is to reach out to the national organisation that relates to whatever disability your child has. Those people have all that information you need. They can actually tell you what to do next and when to take the next step. They have a lot of information. They're usually set up by parents who have been where you are, and they can they know your rights and entitlements, your child's rights and entitlements, and they can give you that basic understanding. In fact, they can probably give you a better understanding than most of the professionals involved in your child's care, because they, as parents, have been where you are. So that would be my next point, is to actually also reach out to other parents, either on an online forum or through another group. And those parents don't have to have a child with your child's specific disability. They can have any disability, because the rights and entitlements under the law are exactly the same. Even if your child has one of the hidden disabilities, and we don't tend to realise that they still have a recognised disability under the law. And I'm talking about the likes of dyslexia, dyspraxia, Asperger's, ADD, ADHD. A lot of hidden disabilities, people don't realise that they are classed and treated as equally important under the law as a physical or other type of disability. So do always make contact with that national organisation. If there is none in the country in which you're living in, check out one of the other ones. Check out Ireland, check out the UK, check out America, Canada, Australia. Somebody will have, some country will always have a national organisation relating to your child's specific disability. It's very rare that they wouldn't. So when you get all that information, you can start to listen those feelings of guilt that you have about, where to go for information, what to do next, what do I do, what can I ask for help with, what can I get in terms of financial assistance, because you'll have that information and you can take those steps. Now, at the beginning, it can be a lot to take on board, and there are a lot of hoops, and there is a lot of hurdles that you have to jump through, and a lot of paperwork that you have to fill out. Never be afraid to ask one of these people, these other parents, to help you, or ask for tips for how they coped or how they filled out even a section on the forms that you're going to have to fill out, or how they applied for different things that you're entitled to. You need those in place. You really do. You need all of that information. You need all the rights and entitlements in place to help you on a day-to-day basis. Without those, you are going to, you're going to flounder. The pressure can get too much. It really can. The stress, the lack of financial assistance, the lack of physical help available can be just too much. So, it's okay to ask for help. It really is. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're any less of a parent. It means you are a perfectly normal parent who wants the best for their child. And you can't do it all alone. You can't do it by yourself alone. You need help. So reach out and ask for that help. Find out your rights and entitlements and take everything that you can get, because believe me, you will need them. You will need them. I've been there. You will need it. Now, in saying that, at some point when you've jumped through all the hurdles and everything is things will get, things settle down. They do settle down. They settle down into a pretty much a routine. It can be a pretty exhausting routine. You can live in your car. You're going from one appointment to the next appointment to the next appointment, no matter what it is you need for your child. So, this is where maybe you can ask for help again. There is nothing wrong in asking for time off, for respite, for family and friends maybe to put a rota together, that they can give you a night off or an hour off or 2 hours off, because you need to be investing in self-care. You need to be investing in your partnership. You need to be investing in, meeting up with friends and family. You need to be investing in your other children. You'll need that time. You do need it. As I said, you can't do this alone. You do need help. If somebody is willing to give you help, as I would say to any new parent, yes, please. Say the words, yes, please. You're not asking them to do it week in, week out. You may be able to set it up in such a way that family and friends will give you a night out. They'll go on a rota basis, so they only may do it once a month. It's not such a big deal to ask one person to look after a child for 1 hour once a month. It really isn't. It's when you're asking them maybe week in, week out, we can build up our guilt. So if you feel guilty about asking them, do it that way, that you're only doing it maybe once a month to start with, but you need to do it. And I've listed out some ways in more detail as to how you can, make time to connect with your other children, make time to connect with your partner. Now, in saying all that, I would very strongly advise any parent of a special needs child to get therapy. Coming to terms with the disability, because a big cause of getting a parent of a special needs child will be, did I cause this disability? If I had done, if I could have, if I should, is going to cause you huge problems. And a lot of the time, you're not going to be able to get over that hurdle just by talking with other parents, just by talking with your partner, just by talking to your friends and family. If they don't have a special needs child, it's very hard for them to understand. So my recommendation really would be that you would, for this part of it, that you would actually go and get therapy. You need to let go of that guilt, because the sooner you can let go of that guilt, the sooner you can see, and feel empowered to help your child further. When we carry around that type of guilt, we can carry it. It comes with a lot of baggage. It can weigh us down. It can stop us thinking clearly, and it can stop us feeling empowered enough to take the necessary steps we need to for our child. So I would really, really suggest that you do reach out and seek help on that score with a proper counsellor or psychologist. The other major problem I can see is in terms of your relationship. If you have a special needs child, it can put a huge strain on the relationship. So this is another area you may need to get some counselling with. I know dads can feel, that they can take a while for them to come around to the fact that they have a special needs child. They can find it a bit more difficult than mum, because mum, for the most part, women tend to talk a bit more. Men will tend to bottle it up. So really, you need to be talking to a counsellor. Again, I would suggest you talk to a counsellor. Dad definitely needs to talk to a counsellor if he's bottling it up. The financial pressure you're going to be under, again, going to the national organisation, finding out what you're entitled to, accepting help in that in relation to that is very, very important at easing the pressure. And I talk about it in more detail, the financial costs and other costs to a family. I have a blog specifically on that. But the point I'd like to make this morning is the communication in the relationships can really, really suffer. So therefore, any sort of crack that has been in the relationship, or any little tiny nuances that can be in the relationship prior to you having a child with a special needs, can really bring all that out. Really bring any little tiny difficulty can be blown into massive proportions. So therefore, your communication with one another is really key. You're going to need help with that. So again, I would stress the importance of going and seeking therapy for that, to improve your communication with one another. Because when you are on the same page going forward as parents, you are a mighty team to be, you are formidable as a team to be reckoned with. And you're going to be taking on the system at different levels, maybe health and education and all sorts throughout the years your child is growing up, and probably into their adulthood as well. You need to be that united front. You need to be both on the same page. So getting it sorted early is vital, really, for your child's benefit as well as your relationship's benefit. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is you have to make self-care a priority. As a parent, and not just as a special needs parent, but as a parent, we need to make that a priority for ourselves. And the reason I say that is because you cannot look after anybody else if you are running on empty. You will burn out so quickly as a parent of a special needs child if you do not make yourself and your self-care a priority. So please look after yourselves. So I'm going to leave it there. Check out the blog. It's at www.DeborahByrne.Psychology-Services. There is the previous blog on feeling guilty as a parent, so you can check both of those out. And as I said, there is another blog up there I wrote, I could have been 2 years ago or thereabouts. It's the cost of the family. It goes into a number of ways that disabilities can impact a family and how they can help themselves. So I will leave you there for this morning, and thank you all for listening in. And I'll see you all again next Wednesday. Facebook allowing, they seem to have a lot of comments this week. Anyway, goodbye.